Your constitutional rights don't disappear just because you weren't born here. Miguel Santos, a construction worker in Brooklyn, was heading to his car after his shift when two ICE agents approached him. They asked for his name. Miguel panicked and answered. Within minutes, he was detained. What Miguel didn't know was that he had the legal right to stay silent and walk away. He could have asked one simple question that might have changed everything. Right now, ICE is making more arrests across New York than at any time in the past decade. They're stopping people on the street, showing up at workplaces, knocking on doors. If you don't know your rights, you're vulnerable. But if you know exactly what to say, you can protect yourself and your family. Number 1, the 3 most powerful words. Am I free to go? Before you say your name, before you answer any questions, before you do anything else, ask this. Am I free to go? This is your Fifth Amendment right, a constitutional protection that applies to everyone regardless of immigration status. ICE agents can only detain you if they have probable cause that you're in the U.S. without lawful status or are deportable. If they don't have that probable cause, they legally cannot stop you from leaving. Here's the reality of what's happening on New York streets right now. In New York, 61% of arrests were for immigration violations alone with no criminal record. ICE arrests in New York during June and July 2025 were 4 times the number seen during the same period the previous year. And of those arrested, 70% had no criminal history. These aren't dangerous criminals. These are construction workers, delivery drivers, nurses, teachers, people living their lives who happen to encounter ICE. Here's how this works in real life. An ICE agent approaches you on the street or in a public place. Before they ask you anything, before they demand identification, you say clearly and calmly, "Am I free to go?" If they say yes, you respond, "I don't want to answer your questions," or "I'd rather not speak with you right now," and you calmly walk away. Don't run, don't make sudden movements, just walk away calmly and purposefully. If ICE says you cannot leave and they begin asking you questions, use your right to remain silent. That brings us to the next critical phrase you need to know. Practice this at home. Stand in front of a mirror and say it out loud 10 times. Am I free to go? Say it until it feels natural. Say it until you can say it calmly even when you're scared. Your tone matters. Don't sound aggressive or confrontational. Sound firm but respectful. Number 2, I remain silent, or I plead the Fifth, your constitutional shield against self-incrimination. You have the right to remain silent. You do not have to answer any questions, including where you were born or how you entered the U.S. This isn't just advice. This is your Fifth Amendment right under the U.S. Constitution, and it protects everyone on American soil, citizens, green card holders, visa holders, undocumented immigrants, everyone. If ICE continues questioning you after you've asked if you're free to go and they've said no, you clearly state, "I am exercising my right to remain silent," or "I choose to plead the Fifth." Then you immediately add, "I need to speak to a lawyer." After saying these words, stop talking, say nothing else, not your name, not where you live, not where you work, nothing. The numbers show why this matters. The number of immigrants detained by ICE who have no convictions or pending charges soared from 3,165 in February 2025 to 25,193 in January 2026. There has been a 2,500% surge in non-criminal detainees from January 26, 2025 to January 7, 2026. ICE is casting the widest net possible, and anything you say becomes part of their case against you. Don't feel pressured to explain yourself. Don't feel like silence makes you look guilty. Anything you say or do can be used against you. Immigration officers are trained to use your words to build a case for deportation. Every detail you give them, where you're from, when you arrived, where you work, who you live with, can become evidence. Here's what silence protects you from. ICE agents will ask seemingly innocent questions. Where were you born? When did you come to the United States? Do you have papers? What's your full name? Where do you work? These questions seem straightforward, but your answers create a legal record. If you say you were born in another country, you've just confirmed foreign nationality. If you say you arrived without documents, you've admitted unauthorized entry. If you give them your workplace address, they know where to find you again or where to conduct a raid. Silence prevents you from accidentally incriminating yourself. You have the right to speak with a lawyer. You do not have to sign anything without legal advice. Memorize this, repeat it. Your right to an attorney exists whether you're Bain. G questioned on the street, detained at your workplace, or arrested and taken into custody. No exceptions. This right cannot be taken away. Number 3, I do not consent. Protecting against illegal searches of your body and belongings. You have the right to refuse to consent if an ICE agent searches your pockets or belongings by saying, "I do not consent to the search." This phrase is critical because it establishes a legal record that you did not give permission. ICE agents might search you anyway. They might ignore your refusal. They might tell you that you have no choice. That's why you need to state your refusal clearly and loudly enough that anyone nearby can hear. I do not consent to this search. If they continue searching, don't physically resist, don't fight back, don't grab their hands, don't run, but your verbal refusal matters legally. Why does this matter if they search you anyway? Because in immigration court, in appeals, in legal proceedings, your attorney can argue that evidence was obtained through an illegal search. If you are being searched, you can say, I do not consent to your search. Your statement may be important in a future legal proceeding. If they found documents in your pocket that prove you're undocumented, but they found those documents during an illegal search, your lawyer might be able to get that evidence thrown out. This applies to your pockets, your bags, your backpack, your purse, your car, your workplace locker, anything that belongs to you or that you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in. ICE needs either your consent, a search warrant signed by a judge, or probable cause combined with exigent circumstances to legally search your belongings. If they don't have those things, the search is illegal. Your refusal creates a legal record of that illegality. If you're carrying documents, be strategic. If you have valid immigration documents such as a green card or work permit, you should carry them with you. But do not carry documents from another country like a foreign passport. ICE can use these against you. A foreign passport confirms you're not a U.S. citizen and can be used as evidence of deportability. Number 4, at your home, don't open the door without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. You do not have to open the door for ICE or immigration. This is one of the strongest protections you have. Your home is constitutionally protected under the 4th Amendment. This protection applies to houses, apartments, hotel rooms, motel rooms, anywhere you're staying that you have a reasonable expectation of privacy. Here's exactly what to do if ICE comes to your door. From behind the closed door, you can ask them who they are and to show their badge, ID, or business card through the window, peephole, or pass it under the closed door. Don't open the door, not even a crack. Don't unlock the chain lock and peek out. Don't step outside to talk to them. Opening the door even slightly can be interpreted as consent to enter or create an opportunity for them to push their way in. If you confirm ICE is at your door, ask if they have a judicial warrant. A judicial warrant is a paper signed by a judge that gives permission to ICE to arrest someone. This is crucial. There are 2 types of warrants, and you need to know the difference. A judicial warrant is signed by a judge. It's issued by a court. It has the court's seal, the judge's signature, and it must specifically name the person to be arrested or the location to be searched. It will have specific legal language and formatting that makes it look like an official court document. An ICE administrative warrant is not a judicial warrant. ICE administrative warrants do not give ICE officials authority to enter a place where there is a reasonable expectation of privacy without consent. An administrative warrant is an internal ICE document. It's signed by an ICE supervisor or officer, not a judge. It has ICE letterhead. It does not have a court seal. It does not give ICE the legal authority to enter your home without your permission. If they say, yes, I have a warrant, ask them to slide it under the door. Don't open the door to take it from their hand. Make them slide it completely under the door so you can examine it without them having access to your home. Look carefully at what they give you. Look for a judge's signature, an actual signature, not just a typed name. Look for a court seal or stamp. Make sure it has your name or your address specifically written on it. Check the date. The warrant must be recent and current. A warrant from months or years ago is likely no longer valid. If they say, no, I do not have a warrant, you do not have to let them in. Tell them through the closed door, I do not consent to you entering my home, please leave. They might try to intimidate you. They might say they'll come back with more officers. They might say it will be worse for you if you don't cooperate. They might make threats about breaking down your door. Stand firm. Without a judicial warrant signed by a judge, they cannot legally enter your home. Record the encounter if you safely can. If you have a smartphone, start recording audio or video. You don't need to open the door to do this. Just record the conversation through the door. Say clearly for the recording, this is date and time. ICE is at my door. I am asking them for a judicial warrant. I do not consent to them entering my home. This recording can be crucial evidence later. Number 5, recent policy change. ICE claims they can enter homes with administrative warrants, legal challenges pending. This is where things get complicated and potentially dangerous. An internal memo issued in May 2025, but revealed by a whistleblower complaint, authorizes ICE officers to forcefully enter homes using only administrative warrants, essentially bypassing the neutral third-party arbiters who would have reviewed evidence before signing a judicial warrant. This policy directly contradicts decades of constitutional law and court precedent. Civil liberties advocates and democratic lawmakers have expressed widespread alarm, with constitutional law experts saying the directive tosses aside long-standing prohibitions against warrantless searches on private property. Multiple lawsuits are challenging this policy right now. Judges in several states have issued temporary restraining orders blocking ICE from using administrative warrants to enter homes. Here's what you need to know practically. The Fourth Amendment still protects your home. Courts have consistently ruled that administrative warrants do not authorize entry into private residences. The Supreme Court has repeatedly held that homes deserve the highest level of constitutional protection, but ICE may try to enter anyway under this new directive. If ICE forces entry with only an administrative warrant, you need to clearly state, "I do not consent to you being in my home. This is an illegal entry, please leave." Saying this may not stop them but may be beneficial for a future case. Document everything. If you can safely record on your phone without interfering with the officers, do so. If you cannot record safely, remember as many details as possible. Badge numbers, names, times, what they said, what they did, which rooms they entered, what they searched, what they took. Do not physically resist. Do not fight. Do not block their path. Do not touch the officers. If they're entering illegally, your physical resistance will be used against you and could result in additional charges or violence. But your verbal refusal and documentation create the legal record your attorney needs to challenge the arrest or search in court. Every illegal entry, every constitutional violation, strengthens your case for release or termination of proceedings. Number 6. On the street or in public spaces, different rules apply and you have fewer protections. ICE officers do not need a judicial warrant or an administrative warrant to speak to you in public. This is the most dangerous situation because you have fewer protections in public spaces than in your home or workplace. Public spaces include sidewalks, parks, parking lots, bus stops, train stations, and any area where the general public has access. If an ICE officer approaches you in public, first ask, "Am I free to go?" before giving them any of your personal information. This is critical. Don't answer questions about your name, where you're from, where you're going, where you work, where you live, or anything else until you've established whether you're free to leave. The statistics on public arrests are alarming. ICE escalated community raids to try to reach 3,000 arrests per day by late May 2025. That's 3,000 people every single day being arrested in community settings, on the street, at bus stops, outside their homes, near their workplaces. In Trump's first year back in office, about 36.5% of those arrested by ICE had prior criminal convictions. Another 29.8% faced pending criminal charges, and about a third had neither a conviction nor a pending charge. That means 1 out of every 3 people ICE arrested had no criminal history whatsoever. If ICE says you are free to go, say, "I don't want to answer your questions," or "I'd rather not speak with you right now," and walk away. Don't run. Running gives them reasonable suspicion to pursue you. Don't make sudden movements that could be interpreted as aggressive or threatening. Walk calmly and confidently. Head toward a place with other people if possible, a store, a restaurant, a public building. ICE is less likely to make aggressive moves when witnesses are present. If ICE says you cannot leave and they begin asking you questions, use your right to remain silent. This can look like saying, "I choose to plead the Fifth," and then say, "I need to speak to a lawyer." After you invoke these rights, stop talking completely. Officers will try to keep the converse. Going, they'll ask more questions, they'll make small talk, they'll try to build rapport. Don't engage. Silence means silence. What about identification? In New York, you're not required to carry identification or show it to ICE unless you're driving a car. If you're walking down the street, riding the subway, or standing in a park, you do not have to show ID. However, strategic documentation matters. If you have lived in the U.S. for over 2 years, carry documents that prove it, such as leases, utility bills, or receipts. Why 2 years specifically? Because Trump expanded expedited removal, which allows ICE to deport undocumented immigrants without a hearing before an immigration judge if they cannot prove they've been continuously present in the United States for more than 2 years. If you can prove 2 years of continuous presence with documentation, ICE must give you a court hearing instead of immediately deporting you. That court hearing is your opportunity to apply for asylum, cancellation of removal, or other forms of relief. Number 7. At your workplace, know which spaces ICE can and cannot enter without permission. ICE can enter the public space of your workplace without any permission or warrant. A public space is where members of the public are generally permitted. This includes publicly accessible areas of supermarkets, retail stores, restaurants, bank lobbies, building lobbies, and anywhere customers or the general public can go. ICE cannot legally enter a private space of your workplace without a judicial warrant or your employer's permission. A private space is an employees-only area where members of the public are generally not allowed. Typical private spaces include private offices, break rooms, storage rooms, and back-of-house kitchens. If ICE shows up at your workplace, you need to know which space you're in. If you're working in a retail area open to customers, ICE can walk right in. If you're in a private employee-only area and ICE tries to enter, your employer can refuse entry unless ICE has a judicial warrant. If ICE agents present an administrative warrant, you do not have to let them enter private spaces in your workplace. Your employer's cooperation matters enormously. Some employers will immediately let ICE into private spaces. Others will demand judicial warrants and refuse entry. You should know your employer's policy before ICE shows up. If your employer has an immigration-friendly policy, make sure you know what it is and what protections it offers. As a worker, you still have all your constitutional rights at your workplace. You can ask if you are free to leave. If you are being searched, you can say, "I do not consent to your search." You have the right to remain silent. You don't have to answer questions about your immigration status, where you were born, or how you entered the country. Practical workplace advice. Know where the private spaces are in your workplace. Know which doors lead to employee-only areas. If ICE enters your workplace, move to a private space if you can do so without running or making it obvious you're fleeing. Once you're in a private space, your employer can refuse to let ICE enter without a judicial warrant. Number 8. New York City's sanctuary protections. What they mean, what they don't mean, and how they actually work. NYC's sanctuary city policies are still in place, meaning city and state officials are technically not supposed to cooperate with ICE, including at city hospitals, schools, churches, and courthouses. NYC Mayor Adams reaffirmed those protections in testimony before Congress in March 2025. Here's what sanctuary city status means practically. New York City agencies are prohibited from sharing information about immigrants with federal authorities unless they were suspected of criminal activity. The NYPD cannot ask about your immigration status during routine interactions. The New York Police Department is prohibited by law from asking a person's immigration status. If NYPD pulls you over for a traffic stop, they cannot ask where you were born or whether you have papers. The NYPD and the Department of Correction are barred from honoring detainer requests from ICE unless that person has been convicted of violent or serious crimes, is on the federal terrorist watch list, and when ICE officials have a judicial warrant. A detainer request is when ICE asks local police or jails to hold someone for an extra 48 hours after they would otherwise be released so ICE can pick them up. Sanctuary policies mean NYC jails will not honor these requests, except in very limited circumstances. But sanctuary status doesn't mean ICE can't operate in New York. ICE is a federal agency. They can still make arrests, they can still conduct raids, they can still patrol neighborhoods, they can still set up checkpoints. Sanctuary city policies limit how local government cooperates with ICE, but they don't prevent ICE from doing its job independently. NYC Mayor Adams recently issued new guidance to city workers to ask ICE for a judicial warrant before letting them into city buildings, and to only let federal agents into the building once council had approved. This adds another layer of protection in city facilities like public hospitals, libraries, and social service offices. If you're inside a city building and ICE tries to enter, city employees should demand a judicial warrant first. Understanding the limits. Sanctuary policies protect you from local government cooperation with ICE, but they don't create a physical barrier. If ICE sees you on the street, sanctuary policies won't stop them from approaching you. The protection is that NYPD won't help them find you or hold you for them. Number 9. Protect Our Courts Act. You cannot be arrested at New York State courts without a judicial warrant. Without a judicial warrant, ICE cannot arrest anyone at any state, city, or other municipal courts. This protection is huge because for years, ICE was targeting immigrants at courthouses. People were afraid to show up for traffic court, family court, or criminal court because ICE was waiting outside to arrest them. Victims of domestic violence wouldn't go to court to get orders of protection. Witnesses to crimes wouldn't testify. The entire justice system was being undermined by courthouse arrests. The Protect Our Courts Act changed that. POCA protects people going to and leaving state, city, and municipal courts. This includes criminal courts, family courts, traffic courts, housing courts, Supreme Court, county court, city court, and many others. If an ICE agent stops you on your way to or from court, stay silent, do not say your name or anything else, and ask, "Am I free to go?" You can also tell the agent, "I am going to attend" or "I am leaving court," but do not provide other information. You don't need to tell them which case you're involved in, what type of court proceeding it is, or anything else about why you're at court. Keep documents from court that list your court date, such as an appointment notice, subpoena, or court appearance letter. Keep these in your pocket or bag when you go to court. This helps prove you were on your way to or from court if ICE tries to arrest you nearby. You can show the document without speaking. Important limitation. Federal courts, including immigration courts, are not included in the protections offered by POCA. The protections only apply to state, city, and municipal courts, not federal facilities. If you have an immigration court hearing, POCA does not protect you at the federal immigration court building. ICE officers now have to identify themselves to court personnel if they come to a courthouse. They also have to state their reason for being at the courthouse, including if they are there to surveil, observe, or arrest a particular person. Court personnel must communicate ICE's intent to the judge. This creates transparency and allows judges to take protective measures if needed. However, ICE can still surveil people outside of the courthouse building. They can watch who enters and exits. They can follow people after they leave. They can make arrests a block away from the courthouse. So while POCA provides strong protections at the courthouse itself, you need to remain vigilant when traveling to and from court. Number 10. What to do if you're detained despite invoking your rights. Critical next steps to protect your case. If ICE detains you despite your invoking your rights, here's what you need to do immediately to protect yourself and build your legal defense. If you're detained, you have the right to make phone calls to your family, friends, community leaders, or attorney. Use this right immediately. Don't wait. Don't assume you'll have another opportunity later. Call someone who can help you right now. If you have an immigration attorney, call them immediately. If you don't have an attorney, call a family member who can find one for you. Memorize important phone numbers before you ever encounter ICE. You cannot rely on having access to your phone's contacts when you're detained. ICE will take your phone. Write down critical numbers and memorize them. Memorize your attorney's number if you have one. Memorize a trusted family member's number. Memorize an emergency hotline. Practice reciting these numbers from memory. You have the right to request interpretation in your native language for any conversation or hearing with ICE. If English is not your first language, demand an interpreter immediately. Don't try to navigate legal proceedings in a language you're not completely fluent in. Misunderstandings can destroy your case. A single misunderstood word or phrase could result in you signing away your rights or admitting to something that isn't true. You do not have to sign anything without speaking with a lawyer first. This is absolutely critical. ICE will pressure you to sign documents. They'll tell you signing will make things easier. They'll say you can go home faster if you sign. They'll say the forms are just procedural. They'll tell you everyone signs them. Don't believe them. Many ICE documents are designed to speed up deportation. You might be signing away your right to see a judge. You might be signing away your right to apply for relief from deportation. You might be signing a voluntary departure order, which means you agree to leave the country and waive your right to a hearing. You might be signing a stipulated removal order, which is essentially agreeing to your own deportation. Once you sign these documents, it's almost impossible to undo them. Never sign anything without consulting an attorney first. Even if it takes days or weeks to get legal advice, wait. Your signature can destroy your case before it even starts. If ICE tells you that you must sign something, respond, "I will not sign anything without speaking to my attorney first." Say this repeatedly until they stop asking. If an ICE agent proceeds with your detention, you can inform the agent about any medical need you may have or whether you need to arrange care for your children or dependent adults. This is important for your health and safety and for your family. If you take medication, tell them. If you have a medical condition that requires treatment, tell them. If you have children who need to be picked up from school or daycare, tell them. If you have elderly parents or disabled family members who depend on you for care, tell them. Document everything you can remember as soon as possible. Write down badge numbers if you saw them. Write down the names of officers if they gave them. Write down exactly what was said, both what you said and what they said. Write down the time, location, and circumstances of your arrest. Write down the color and make of the vehicle they put you in. Write down where they took you. This information helps your attorney build your defense and identify constitutional violations. Contact Immigration Legal Services immediately. You can call the city-funded, free, and safe MOIA Immigration Legal Support Hotline at 800-354-365 between 9:00 a.m. to 6:00 p.m. Monday to Friday, or call 311 and say Immigration Legal. There's also a New York State hotline at 1-800-566-7636 available Monday through Friday 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. for anyone impacted by ICE raids. These hotlines connect you with free legal assistance and can help you find an attorney who specializes in immigration detention cases. Tell your family or friends to start gathering evidence of your ties to the United States. This includes proof of how long you've lived here, family relationships, employment history, community involvement, and anything else that shows you should be allowed to stay. Your attorney will need this evidence to argue for your release from detention and to fight your deportation case. Save these numbers in your phone right now and memorize them. MOIA Immigration Legal Support Hotline 800-354-365. New York State ICE Raid Hotline 1-800-566-7636. Call them the second you or anyone you know encounters ICE. Share this video with every immigrant in your life, your coworkers, your neighbors, your family members, everyone. These rights protect you only if you know them and use them. Subscribe to this channel because I'm tracking every immigration law change in New York as it happens. Drop a comment telling me which right surprised you most or share this with someone who needs it. Hit the like button if this information made you feel more prepared. Print out Know Your Rights cards from immigrant advocacy organizations and carry them with you everywhere. Practice saying, "Am I free to go?" and "I remain silent" until they feel natural. Your constitutional rights are real and they're powerful, but they only work if you use them. Stay safe, stay informed, know your rights.